Welcome traders, it is Sunday the 20th of November 2022 and this is, I'm recording this for the week commencing Monday the 21st of November. So we've got a little bit of a week ahead. Predominantly, I think the key thing to take away or be aware of is that the US will be celebrating Thanksgiving this Thursday and Friday, which means that trading volumes are likely to be significantly lower. The markets might not do very much at all. And of course, we have FOMC on Wednesday and a few other things here and there. So therefore, there might be quite a bit of volatility between now and then. So let's run through the charts and have a look at what is kind of going on. So a couple of things I want to show you here looking at the dollar index. Dollar index has now actually done a decent retracement. It's at a major level. It's at 105. It's produced a kind of a little bit of an indecision bullish candle here. It's had a good correction on the monthly, and it's about to start its retracement on the daily. So the question now is really going to be over the next few weeks, are we seeing the dollar, as the dollar now had a bit of a correction, is it looking to resume its move to the upside and continue so that that's just going to be the way of the world for now? Or are we going to see a deeper correction all the way back down to say 100, for example? So this week, what I'm expecting is an initial move to the upside. And then the question is, once we get into these levels of previous resistance, we get in towards a 382 or a 50 fib retracement or maybe a 618, will we then resume? We might not even get the answer this coming week because we really only have kind of 3 proper trading days. But what I'd like to plan for is a stronger dollar, probably right out the gate. And so I expect the euro dollar to start to head its way back down towards these highs, potentially as far down as 1.012. For sterling, it's battling at the moment because sterling is quite bullish. It does want to keep going. It really wants to go up and tap 1.2 itself. So it looks like it's not done just yet. But at the same time, it's going to have a correction. And if it does, it's coming back down to 1.15, I think at the very least. Looking at Aussie dollar, US dollar, be really good for this to come back down to 0.6550, and for Kiwi dollar to come back down even as far as 0.6, a lot further, I think actually 0.59. So that's what I'm looking for there. Dollar yen, I want to see a move up here. A really good spot for this to come back to would be in the region of 145 in this area and a continuation. It may not do that in 1 week. So this week, it's possible we may just get a stronger dollar until for the rest of the week. Dollar Swissie's already started that move to the upside. That's got some good moves up until 0.97. We look at dollar CAD. Dollar CAD has started that process as well, and dollar CAD should be able to make its way up to 1.35. So there should be some really good moves in favor of a stronger dollar. If we don't get it, then that's a good sign. That means that we're going to start to see a weaker dollar continue. We're potentially going to see a bit of that inflation coming down. But for now, we're not, we can't see into the future. So dealing with it shorter term, it looks like we're going to get that stronger dollar. No news on the ruble. We don't expect anything there yet until that war is over. Then we'll see if there's some repairs to trade. Euro Swissy is attempting, in my mind, it's now had a really good pullback on the weekly bullish candle here. This could be that possible higher low and have it go up towards parity. So that will sit on my watch list for trading opportunities back up towards parity this week. In that direction, gold as well. For me, the most likely target for gold is 1.725, call it. These old highs here, it could actually even come down as far as 1.7. I think if it goes further than that, then that would hint at the stronger dollar coming back for a slightly longer period. But shorter term, I'm looking for a pullback to 1725 or 1700. Silver as well would benefit from a move all the way back down to $20. That would do well. Let's have a look at copper. Copper, again, you can see here a big knockdown. That's looking quite weak. And so if it is going to continue, come back down towards these old lows, that doesn't bode well for the longer term picture. But if anywhere in this area would be good for it to turn around. Natural gas, which we've seen some really wild swings on, looks like that's attempting to find some good support here. And for that to be the case, I want to see us break the high of the previous weekly candle to go bullish or break the low to go head lower. Now, crude oils are looking, there were some good moves here on this break below this level, this little head and shoulders we spoke about last week. Move down. I still think it's got some room to head a little bit lower at this time. Let's put it this way. My expectation is to see it head down towards 75. And for Brent, same thing as well. See this potentially heading low. You could just see that. Look at that weekly is actually a nightmare. It's going all the way back to March. Almost, we're only, let's call it 4 months out from March 23. And that is largely range bound. Let's have a look at sugar. Sugar's broken up to these highs. Again, it's still within that range. So breaks, especially a break of the previous weekly candle, would signal that we're still within that range. But actually now it does look a little bit more like it's attempting to get out. Coffee continues its move to the downside, looking more and more bearish. We've got wheat also looking quite bearish there as well. There's kind of clues, they sort of small signs of a stronger dollar right now. Cotton looks as though it's going to break through those lows. Weekly bearish candle. This could, by the way, actually be a nice little swing trading setup. A break below the low here, entry below the low, stop loss above the high, and trading it down to take profits down towards the bottom if one was interested in futures. Now, moving on to the global indices. In principle, I still hold that they're strong. We've got really nice break and a retest. This is very weak over here, so we'll have to, we finished a little bit higher, that's all right. I do think there's some good opportunities to continue higher, but I really would have preferred a deeper correction. But we had a good one here. We had a move and another correction and then a break and a consolidation. But all the materials here in isolation should allow us to continue upwards. A break to the downside would hint at a medium-term change. In other words, a more significant change rather than maybe a possible resuming dollar strength as opposed to a temporary dollar strength. Looking at, for example, the S&P, this came back, tested the old highs. It should be good to continue to the upside. Everything about this in isolation looks nice and bullish, so I'd like to see that continue to push on. Nasdaq coming back into these old highs, and you see a really strong bullish move here and then a break above that. I would say very simple. If we break above last week's high, we should be able to continue up. That would get us above 12,000 as well and be quite significant. The Russell 2000 pull back, nice little bullish candle here, break above that. They're all quite near, either just above or just below major levels. They've got to get above, all of them have to get kind of above those. The FTSE as well, looking relatively bullish at this point. We've got the DAX and the DAX also looking good. Overextended for sure, but very bullish. Nice clean break here. This should be on its way to test these old highs to see how it feels about them. Looking very, very good. It's good to see that. We've got the Nikkei wobbling a little bit here. Overall, very messy, but still looking more bullish than bearish. If everything else goes up, I expect it to. As well. The ASX has now broken this previous high, so beautiful little double bottom break here above the high. This should now, aside from normal retracements on the daily, should be able to work its way up to 7,500. On to the equities of interest. So Glencore here is looking a little bit more bearish on the side. I didn't even see this just yet, but that's a strong rejection there. It's another potential monthly rejection, especially if we start to break below the low of last week. That would be more of a bearish sign. But I was looking at this daily here, which is a lower high. And so break below this low over here of 496 would hint at that trend starting to turn more and more bearish. So this level has to hold, and we have to finish higher by the end of the coming week. Tesco looking great. Solid break up there. Looks fantastic. Got some good room to go. American Express, not as strong as I was expecting. It's pulled back. Should be able to continue up. Really needs to finish at least above the higher than this last week. And ideally sort of somewhere here around the 159 or above 160 level would be great. We've got Apple. Apple looks fine. I mean, I'm looking at this monthly candle here. Strong wick, lots of buying. Pushing to the upside. If it could break through this, it should be good. We've got Amazon, which is looking more and more bearish. That actually looks like that's not just done just yet. This weekly candle is not a great sign. It's got some buyers at this level here. So the best outcome here would be a move higher. So we'd go into an uptrend on the daily. But yeah, not seeing it just yet here. That still looks relatively bearish. It's not in isolation, by the way. I don't think it is just a reflection on Amazon. You're going to see there's a few of these other ones. ARC as well, wobbling a little bit too much. It needs to be moving higher. It's got to break above these highs. It's looking weak, not looking that strong. AT&T, just doing quite big swings up here. It's running out of steam where it is now. So for me, what would be interesting here, this looks relatively bullish here. I mean, that's a bad failure. And it's quick. So it sort of stalled here, went up and immediately had a failure here, pull back. Would actually be a break of the low of last week. We'd get a swing high and we'd start to head back down again. Then we've got the Adidas, which is back into this area. This is actually a potential sell setup. A break of the low of this before we break the high could signal a continuation to the downside. But you know, it's overextended. It should have room to go back up towards 156. So let's see if that is the case, if it manages to do that. And as I said, we're going to get that dollar strength. So stuff might look a bit rough this week. That might unfold and go back to normal the week after, meaning we might get what looks as though we're getting a strong dollar and things are starting to go bad again, and then the week after we might recover. So let's just see how that goes. This looks really nice and bullish on the monthly here. Berkshire Hathaway looks great, broken above this high, it's above the 50, it's pulled back, looks to carry on. That looks good. Then BP and Exxon look good, they look fine. It's a nice little bullish setup here. They're stalling a little bit, but they look, and so again here it would be coming back down to 32 would be significant, I think. We've got Exxon as well, it's also stalled. So see how we get this big move up, pull back, another move, then we come back down below the low, we hold, then we do another move and we immediately come back down. This is stalling. So we could see it stay in the same place or possibly break a bit lower. Coca-Cola looking good. It's struggling to break through here. So we had a nice move, pull back, another move up, pull back. It needs to get past that previous high. Monthly looks fine so far. Weekly is struggling. That is a clear, strong level of resistance. We need to get through that. FedEx looking good. Nice pullback, looking good. Continuation. So from what I see here, that should continue up to the upside there. We've got General Motors. Looks okay. It's also battling in this area. That's interesting. So I'm just highlighting at this time that several of these are sitting at resistance levels and they now appear to be struggling where in previous years they would have just gone through. So are we at a point now where the market's going to stall? Let's find out. JP Morgan Chase, big move up, should be able to continue onwards. It's above the 50-period moving average. Very acceptable in my mind for it to come back down and find some support a bit here before carrying on. We'll see. Meta is just started a little bit of a potential retracement here, struggling already. I want to see close that gap if we can. See if that is ultimately the case. We've got Morgan Stanley, which is about to head into some strong resistance as well, but looks more bullish than bearish. I'm very happy with that. For the most part, I expect us to should be able to survive to the upside there. Netflix struggling a bit. Look at that weekly candle right off that 50-period moving average. That not really a great sign. What I would love to see this week, that's a bit of a sort of a gravestone doji type impact, sort of effect there. I'd like to see price not break below the low, but rather sort of break above the high and close to the upside. Then we have Nvidia. Bearish setup here as well. Again, breaks below the low, make these sort of swing highs. The monthlies look good. I mean, I feel like there's some good opportunity. Aside from little moves down, I feel like there should be some good moves to the upside with these. But they're just not looking super strong. I mean, PayPal here breached this line. That is not a guarantee that it's now shifted, but it also is producing what appears to be, what could almost be construed as another little bit of a rejection of those lows. But it's important this week that we go to the upside and not the downside. And the problem is that a lot of the charts are showing that we might see the dollar coming back, which means that a lot of these charts are actually going to go down rather than up if it does what it's done before. Spider as well, just really struggling. This is an absolute nightmare. It's basically in a channel. It's not really trending very well. It's an absolute nightmare. I'm going to hold on that one. In my mind, this is going sideways or possibly down. Spotify, that looks set to continue down. But what I would mention is it is slowing down. There's some bullish divergence creeping in here. It looks as though the overall trend, whether it carries on for a little bit longer, is slowing down. A double bottom here or another low and then a rejection. You can see bullish divergence starting to creep in on the daily. It's on the weekly. This should be, and you can see how the candles have gone from really big to very, very small. We should be running out of steam here soon. And we've got Tesla. Tesla is really, well, continuing to test those lows. Not showing a lot of, there is, bullish divergence here. We've got fresh lows here. We've got bullish divergence here. But the price action is looking heavily bearish. And also, it's not a great sign when we have wicks over here that reject the lows. That's very bullish. And when you're closing right near the lows, that's not a great sign. That often means there's going to be a breakout. So I'm a bit disappointed if that is going to be the case. I would just say, look, where's our next level? Our next level is likely to be, let's just have a look at maybe about that 120 mark. Let's go and have a look, 125. Let's call it 125. 125 mark for now. And we'll see if Tesla drops down to 125, if it's going to do it this week. And then, yeah, well, let's see. Let's just deal with that when that happens. And then we've got Vanguard as well, finally. Also had a bit of a channel, so similar to the Spider. A little bit stronger, though. This is indecision. That monthly looks okay. I'm all right with that. pull back here. Let's see if we can finish to the upside. This week is giving, ladies and gents, very mixed signals. We could find they don't go anywhere. We could find that some of them manage to scrape to the upside, but I will be surprised if all of them finish to the upside, because the charts are hinting actually that they're going to not go anywhere or that they're going to head lower. Bonds, even bonds are starting to stall a little bit. Where they were looking nice and bullish, they now appear to be stalling. So these may actually head lower. They're also not looking super bullish. And here we've got Eurobonds is trying to break out through this level. So that could be something of interest, I think, to me. Let's just mark this and see if we get, if it manages to be able to break through that level of resistance would be cool. But it's struggling with that. And it looks nice and bullish. I like that. That looks really bullish. So it may well succeed in doing that. I would ideally love to see a small amount of dollar strengthening on the Monday, and then see it pull back and see the trends that we've had the last couple of weeks just continue. That would be ideal. Then we would have a lot of these have a really good chance to finish higher. So I do think the dollar, we have to watch and see what's going on with the dollar. Easiest way to do that is to be watching it against the euro, watching it against sterling, watching it against say the S&P and the Nasdaq. That'll give us a really quick clue. And finishing off with cryptos, they're not looking like they're going anywhere. They've gone sideways, treaded water for the last few days. Ethereum is also looking nice and bearish. We've got Cardano also looking bearish, Binance and Solana. So basically, yeah, cryptos are looking heavily bearish. They all seem to want to go lower. Equities are looking weak to me at this time. Bonds look like they want to continue heading lower as well. We've got commodities also looking quite weak. And so there's a lot of clues here that this dollar is going to come back, and it doesn't. And if we don't take it week by week, it looks like it's going to come back big and strong. But I think the best thing in this is to just be calm, and let's just see how this week goes. We appeared to be in a trend of the dollar weakening again, and now we've got that fork in the road. Is it going to resume that longer term trend, or is it going to give it up? So trade cautiously for sure. And trade sensibly, and have a good week though. Thank you, ladies and gents. Have a good one.